Good morning.
Good morning.
It is said that it's better to give than to receive. Or is it? As we leave behind the National Holiday of Thanks, which we celebrated just a few days ago, and move ever closer to our holidays of giving, today's topic is the dynamics of giving. Our discussion today is inspired by Acts chapter 20, verses 32 through 35, as read in the contemporary English version of the Bible. In it, Apostle Paul is leaving the church leaders at Ephesus, trying to get back to Jerusalem in time for the Pentecost. He's reminding them of all he has taught them, passing on the teachings of his mentor, Jesus, and reinforcing those thoughts as he leaves for home. He says, "I now place you in God's care. Remember the message about God's gift of undeserved grace. This message can help you and give you what belongs to you as God's people. I have never wanted anyone's money or clothes. You know how I have worked with my own hands to make a living for myself and my friends. By everything I did, I showed how you should work to help everyone who is weak. Remember that Jesus said, 'More blessings come from giving than from receiving.'" When Paul tells them this, what Paul tells them has become one of the most remembered lines in the Bible. In the King James Version, it reads, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Over centuries, this statement has been interpreted to mean that we should be modest and selfless, that giving is better than taking. Is this true? Let's take a look. We hear so much about the law of attraction and how it plays such an active role in prosperity. Yes, like attracts like. And if you are open to receive, you will draw what you seek. But there's so many other aspects of natural law that play a part in the cycle of God's spiritual substance. There is the law of compensation. Put simply, what you get back is equivalent to what you put in. There's a law of cause and effect, or karma. Every action has an appropriate reaction. There is the law of balance and the law of rhythm. Everything seeks a natural state of harmony. What we choose to do and how we choose to do it has an effect on everything around us. And sooner or later, what we send out comes back to us, whether it is love or hatred or material things. While thinking about this cycle of substance and the energy of giving and the idea that it is better to give than to receive, I identified three elements that help me understand what that phrase really means. The first element is intent. When we give, what is our intent? Are we giving from the heart? Or are we giving because it's the right thing to do? Or out of a sense of obligation? Or because of something we might receive in return? Sometimes we want to give, but we simply never get around to it. It is said charity begins at home and generally dies from lack of outdoor exercise. True giving is done with love. When we give of ourselves, we need no physical reward. The mere act of giving becomes the satisfaction that we need. Too often, we see people giving for less than ideal reasons. Let's take Michelle as an example. Michelle is a woman I used to work with. Every Christmas, her shopping and her baking were a daunting task. Each year, she felt like she had to outdo what she had done the previous year. The gifts had to be bigger and better. If she spent more on one child than she did on the other, she had to buy something else for the other child to keep the score even. She didn't want her children to be disappointed in her. And every year, it got worse. She would literally spend thousands and thousands of dollars, not trying to keep up with the Joneses, but trying to keep up with her own expectations that she had created by keeping this pattern going. It was a similar situation with her baking. Every year she would bake cookies and treats for family and friends and co-workers and her church, those who meant a lot to her. But she did it with the mindset that if she only baked cookies for certain people, there were a lot of other people who might feel left out. So she baked trays and trays of cookies for everyone else, even people she hardly knew. The last year I worked with her, she told me she baked 11,000 cookies. And these weren't just like stamped out with a cookie cutter. They were decorated with sprinkles, and she put a lot of work into it. And standing on the sidelines, it wasn't hard to see that this has really become a competition with herself. Sometimes I wonder whether Michelle still goes through this exercise every year. She felt like she was giving from her heart, but over time, her intent seemed to grow into a sense of obligation that she then felt like she couldn't get out of. It wasn't about giving anymore. It was about keeping up with the expectations that she had created in her own mind. To her, what she was giving was more important than the fact that she was giving. She was focusing on the physical rather than the spiritual aspects of giving. It was around the same time that my mother was coming to the realization that she was spending lots of money during the holidays, more out of habit than out of love. Yes, she loved us, but she was buying us things just for the sake of having something to give, rather than for whether it was something we wanted or even needed. She announced one year that we were no longer going to exchange gifts, and something amazing happened. Holidays and birthdays became a gift of time. Time for visiting with family and appreciating each other, rather than the time for spending money that it had become. Now, we only buy gifts when it's something that a person is really going to appreciate and enjoy, not just because it's something to do and because it's that time of year to do it. What we have found is that when we do buy gifts, they become more meaningful. And when the special occasions do come, we have learned to share a more valuable gift than money can buy, and that is our love. In a nutshell, the cycle of giving requires an element of love. If there's not a loving intent, the energy of giving is diminished and become meaningless. In fact, when you give a gift, the gift isn't actually the object you are giving. It is the love you are giving it with. When someone pressures you into giving something, you're less likely to want to give. And if you relent, it doesn't feel good. And the person who's receiving the gift can't appreciate it that much. If you give out of guilt, your gift is guilt, not love. If you give out of obligation, your gift is obligation, not love. The second element of giving is thankfulness. The act of giving creates an energy, and this energy is driven by our intent. Think of the energy of giving as a circle, where whatever is sent out is returned some way to the giver. This is actually the concept of the ring in the marriage ceremony. Each partner gives lovingly and willingly of themselves to the other, and that love is returned in an unending cycle. It works this way with all gifts, regardless of what is being given. When we give our time, our money, our love, our kind thoughts, anything, there is something we get in return. That something is not a physical thing, but rather a sense of satisfaction in knowing that what we gave was appreciated. It is that thankfulness that completes the circuit. This is where the aspects of natural law that I mentioned come in. The law of attraction. When we send out giving energy, it draws the satisfaction that rewards us for our deeds. The law of compensation. The love we give in whatever form comes back as love in the form of gratitude that is directed back to us. The law of karma. When we give with love, there is a natural loving reaction in return. If all of these sound similar to each other, it's because they're all different expressions of natural law that work together. Those immutable principles that cannot be changed or overridden, no matter how hard we try. The third aspect of giving is balance. The law of balance and the law of rhythm are other aspects of natural law which dictate that everything has a vibration that creates harmony when it's balanced. When a pendulum swings in one direction, it also naturally swings in the other direction to complete a cycle, much like the cycle of giving. In order to give, someone must be willing to receive. To say that it is better to give than to receive creates an imbalance. How can one happen without the other? It is in our society's effort to be more godly by following the scripture. We have become so modest that we feel like it's rude to accept a gift. Or maybe that we shouldn't receive a gift unless we have something to give in return. Then we also fall back on another scripture, an eye for an eye. How many times do we find ourselves saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have," or "I really can't accept this"? But doing so disrupts the process of giving. Maybe technology can help us paint a picture of how this is really designed to work. In my career, I worked for a banking technology company, and there was a solution that we sold, and I worked with this computer system for almost 28 years. It's the same system that the Chapel's Bank uses. And the people who programmed the accounting functions were really clever. If you transfer money from one account to another, there's a debit and a credit, and it all balances, right? But what happens if somebody processes the debit and forgets to do the credit? That causes problems. So what they did is they designed a system so that every debit automatically has a natural credit. It goes to what they call a control account. And every credit has a natural debit, which comes out of that control account. Every credit has a debit, every credit has a debit, every debit has a credit. 4 sides of the transaction instead of the 2 that you might be expecting when you go to the bank. If you do it right, it's perfectly balanced. But if you don't, there's a specific place where that money is left hanging, so you know how to fix it. The cycle of giving follows this same principle. Every gift is actually 2 sets of transactions. Every debit has a credit. Every time a gift is given, there's a blessing that the giver receives in return. Every credit has a debit. Every time a gift is received, the receiver is receiving a blessing too. Every giver and every receiver gets their own blessing for the exchange. It can't be out of balance as long as both sides are doing their part. Technology aside, let us remember that the even exchange of physical objects is not what giving is about. The mere fact that we appreciate and accept a gift that is given with love, whether it's a nice object or a hug or a smile, is the gift that we give in return. If we refuse a gift, we are denying someone's opportunity to give. We are blocking the flow of spiritual energy, of true giving, and denying a blessing that is inherent with that process. John Bunyan, a 17th century writer, said, "You have not lived until you have done something for someone who can never repay you." Now, does this mean we should willingly receive any gift that's given to us? Of course not. That goes back to our first element, intent. If the gift is given with the wrong intent, it may not be appropriate to accept that gift. If someone is giving something because they expect something in return, or to make us feel like we owe them something, it's probably better to refuse that gift and move on. If we have to pay a price for a gift we receive, it isn't really a gift at all. But those things aside, we should be happy to receive the gifts that come our way. A simple thank you completes that cycle of energy. Giving a gift of love in whatever form is a gift to ourselves too. By showing gratitude for a loving gesture, we are sharing that gift of love with the person who shared it with us. It multiplies that loving energy and builds bonds of family and friendship and provides balance that is needed for the spirit of giving to succeed. And then there's regifting. This ties into the element of balance too. It's simply taking something that's been given to you and passing it along to someone else. Is it right? Is it wrong? I'm not going to judge, but let me be honest with you. If someone gives me something, I appreciate it and I'm grateful. I cherish the gift because of the intent with which it was given. Whether I have that gift in my possession or not really doesn't matter, and it doesn't diminish the blessing that that gift brought to me. Sometimes we run across someone who could use something more than we can. A gift doesn't have to be new to be meaningful. A few years ago, a friend of ours gave us a wonderful housewarming gift. It was a little plaque about this big, and it says, "It's a wonderful life." Wonderful is hyphenated. It's a fantastic affirmation and a pure sentiment, and we found the perfect place to put it in our house so that it would remind us every day that it's a wonderful life. Seeing it brings warm memories about the person who gave it to us. But one day, we were in a class that was taught by one of our mentors. He teaches a meditation class every Saturday, like we do now. And he was trying to express the sentiment that life is full of wonder, every day. And trying to tie that expression into the movie of the same name, It's a Wonderful Life. But he was struggling with the phrase, the words just weren't coming to him. We met in class every week, and regularly he had that same mental block. The words just didn't want to come to him. So one day I brought that little plaque with me, and I gave it to him to help him remember. He has it hanging in his house now, and whenever we see it, it brings back wonderful feelings, and it brings back warm memories twice. Once because of the person who gave it to us, and once because we were able to share it with somebody else who could appreciate it. And when he remembers the words without struggling, it brings forth new blessings that reinforce the old ones. I'm thankful that I received such a wonderful gift, and I'm thankful that I was able to share it with someone who appreciated it so much. And I'm thankful for the blessings that I receive anytime I hear someone say, "It's a wonderful life." Now here we have these three elements of giving: intent, gratitude, and balance. Without the right intent, a gift can become meaningless or even a burden. Without thankfulness, that cycle of energy, the cycle of the energy of giving is broken and cannot be completed. And without the balance of being willing to accept a gift when one is presented, the opportunity to give is denied. Any disruption in this process blocks the completion of the circle of giving that makes it the blessing that it should be. So what did Paul mean when he said that it's better to give than to receive? He is talking about having a caring nature and using that energy of selfless love and to bless ourselves and those around us. He is talking about the concepts of natural law and how we can use them for positive outcome. If we have it in our nature to care for ourselves and our loved ones and those who are in need without expecting anything in return, we are blessed. If everyone else does the same, they are blessed too. We are all giving, and we are all receiving the blessings of those gifts, an endless cycle of blessings. It isn't about giving something specific, like money or clothes. It's the concept of love thy neighbor as thyself. What goes around, comes around. And we all benefit naturally when we act from a loving, caring intent. When you give in the spirit of love. Give when your heart is moved, not because someone expects you to, or because of the benefit that you might receive, or because it's a certain occasion. And give of yourself, not just material things. Give your love, give your time, give a hug, give a kind word. Let your heart be your guide, and when someone gives to you, accept willingly and often, and with sincere thankfulness and gratitude. The fact that someone wants to give to you is a blessing in itself and should be cherished. I will close by sharing a daily word affirmation from several years ago. It's from June 26, 2016, and the topic is giving and receiving. I am abundantly blessed when I give and receive. The spiritual law of giving and receiving brings forth abundant blessings. In my sacred prayer time, Spirit reveals to me ways that I can give and be of service. This law is very simple. If I desire to experience more love in my life, I give love. If peace is what I seek, I give peace. Spiritual teacher Florence Scovel Shinn shared that giving opens the way for receiving. I remember these words of truth and know that giving and receiving are like different sides of the same coin. Spirit opens my mind and my heart to both give and receive. With gratitude, I receive abundant blessings. There is a dynamic exchange that occurs when I allow others to share with me. I am abundantly blessed when I participate in the flow of the energy of the universe. That was the Daily Word, June 26, 2016. So, is it more of a blessing to give than it is to receive? At the risk of contradicting the words of the Master Teacher Jesus, I think not. A gift is as much a blessing to the receiver as it is to the giver. Without one, the other cannot exist. Be generous with others and appreciate all that you receive in whatever form it comes. And then pass that gift of love along to the next person. And you will see that the gifts and the blessings will multiply. And this is my gift to you. Now let us contemplate on this message with a meditation from Reverend Randy Doster.
Well, Mark has certainly given us a lot to think about and to process. And in the stillness of meditation, we find clarity. So I ask you to find a comfortable position, whatever is comfortable for you. Close your eyes gently. And I'd like for you to take 3 long, deep, slow cleansing breaths. And as you inhale, hold it for just a few seconds and release it slowly. We'll do that 3 times. Remember to relax the tongue, the jaw, and the shoulders. Let go and give your body permission to relax. Continue breathing deeply, letting go of all concerns and worries of the day. See and feel yourself turning away from the outer world and focusing your attention inward to the world of stillness, of consciousness, energy and light. We can feel the oneness of all things and of all people. The quiet place where truth reveals its deeper meaning, where clarity resides. where peace lives. Let go. Be still. And just be. slowly and gently, bring your attention back to your physical bodies and this sacred space. But retain that peaceful energy that you feel right now, and know that you can recall it anytime that you need it. Peace. Be still. And as we grow, continue to grow and progress as spiritual beings from the simple experiences of life, we recognize the power of sharing. For the earth is rich and bountiful. Together let us visualize a world where no one is hungry, no one is thirsty, where every child is inspired and encouraged to express their unique and individual gifts and talents in the world. And as we give, so shall we receive. As we work in harmony with the universe, we begin to experience the fullness of life as it was meant to be. This is the vision we hold for the world today and the world we live in. And so it is. Thank you.